I ended the round on top, kind of landing strikes, and then as soon as I went to the corner, then my head went out the window. I started panicking.
Yeah.
There was a bit of blood in my face, and immediately I was like, I was gone.
Yeah,
I had a full panic attack in the corner, or in my corner. Liam was trying to calm me down. I was fully just panicking, and that was mentally fatiguing me. I wasn't tired at all. Like.
Hello and welcome back to Guts and Glory MMA. I am Paul O Dea, and today I am joined by Ryan The Hulk Spillane. Ryan fought Slim Trabelsi at Levels Fight League 2 weekend before last, and obviously that didn't go your way. How are you feeling now, kind of 2 weeks removed from that fight?
I'm obviously still pissed about the whole experience, but look, that's in the past. I'm now moving forward to the future. You can't change something that's already happened. And if you focus too much on something that has happened in the past, you can't go forward then.
That's it. And look, we are going to dive into that fight a little bit. We're going to get into it. But before we get to that, I'd like to get your opinion on the promotion itself, because I know I was talking to Liam on the podcast on Sunday and he was very impressed with how they run the show, and it seems like a big show feel considering it's only their second promotion. How was your experience there?
Oh, it was very, very smooth. Normally we go to these kind of like small promotions, there's always hiccups in the process, you know.
Yeah.
I think the only hiccup I had was maybe the gloves were too small. And the guys were like straight away, they were like, no, we're getting your gloves now. Like me and Liam were like, oh, we'll fight in smaller gloves, we'll just tape up my hand differently, we'll do my thumb and my wrist and not do a full tape wrap. And they were like, no, we'll get you the gloves. They went off and found gloves for me. So looked after well. Like the whole weigh-in process was smooth, you know. They were like, arrived this time, we did antigen tests, weigh-ins were done, I was gone. I wasn't cutting weight, so I didn't have that, like I hadn't have to wait around and all that, like, but like I'd say Cowlin, who had to cut weight, he just literally weighed in, rehydrated, that was it. Look, it was he didn't have to wait around, or you know, there was no bullshit there. Like on fight day then, like the warm-up areas were great, you know. The whole show just ran very well. Like I had Robin Black there, you know. Big name, huge name. I feel like the Levels will be a big player in the game. Like there's not many huge shows over in Netherlands, and it's a huge place for martial arts and combat sports.
Massive history there, So
like I think they're really pushing that, and they did the show behind closed doors as well. Like so, you know, if they were to have a crowd, like I don't know about Amsterdam, but I don't know if there's any big venues. But I presume there will be big halls where you could have huge fights. Like I reckon they could pull in loads. Like,
well, the UFC have gone there a couple of times. They've gone to the Holland, so there's definitely places where they could put on big shows.
But no one's pushing that market either. Like, and there's how many kickboxers, how many famous kickboxers you know that are from the Netherlands. Like,
they're constantly producing them. Yeah,
absolutely. So a very, very well run show, and I definitely would like to be on in the future. Yeah,
and we spoke before the fight itself, and we had our interview here. And you seemed very composed and confident going into that. Obviously, I mean, you felt confident in yourself and whatever. But do you think, looking back now, do you think it was kind of a false confidence, or were you were ready to go? You were 100% before that fight.
Absolutely, that was the Ryan that was there. I had like one of the best camps I've ever had in my life, and I wouldn't even call it a camp. Like I've been training for the last year and a half. Like that's fucking. It wasn't like a normal 10-week, you know, camp. I've been training for so long for this fight. Everything went perfect, you know. My diet was on complete point. Like, you know, I weighed in on fight day at 117, and that was after having a huge dinner the night before, you know, to refuel me. You know, I had no problems strength and condition wise. Me and Greg and Bua, we worked out like perfectly. Like we tapered right into the fight, you know, smoothed it right in, you know. Fight week, I had no injuries, you know. Normally I'm dealing with niggles and stuff. I had absolutely nothing. You know, nothing went wrong this camp. You know, I can't give an excuse for the fight based on the camp, because there wasn't. I literally had the perfect camp. Me and Liam did everything perfect. Like if you're talking about best fight camp so far, that has been it. You know. Yeah.
So obviously physically nothing went wrong, but you had a tough kind of few weeks leading up to it. You had the news that Bellator had released you, and then you had the Battle Arena fight, which fell through kind of short enough notice. Do you think mentally that played a little factor kind of going into the bout, or was it in your head at all coming up towards the weekend of the fight?
No, not at all. Those things hit me and I processed them and then just threw them away, you know, because there was no point focusing on something that I can't control. You know, they were fully uncontrollables. I couldn't control that Bellator are now releasing loads of European fighters. I couldn't control that my opponent pulled out, and I now have to look for a new one. You know, I just kept training. You know, when I found out about the news about the fight, I just kept training. Like I told Liam, I was like, it doesn't matter. I'm going to still train. If there no fight shows up on that weekend,
you're still going to be ready to go.
I'll just keep going training, and I'll just clear I'll take a few days off, and I'll continue on my camp. Fortunately, I got the fight, and it was perfect. But like all those things that happened during the camp, I didn't play like they should have like been huge factors, but how I dealt with them was perfect in my head.
So the fight itself, obviously going in there, like I say, composed, confident, and the first like 2 minutes of the fight seemed to be going very well for you. You did well. Obviously, you got taken down early, but you did well to get back to your feet. And even on the second takedown, your jits, you seem to be giving him problems on the mat. And then the tide turned shortly after that. Can you speak a little bit to that and kind of what went wrong kind of halfway through that first round?
So walking out to the fight, I felt absolute best I've ever walked out. You know, there was nerves, but I was dealing with them well. You know, like got into the cage and I was ready to go. And going into a fight, I knew he was going to shoot for double leg. I knew it was going to be a big overhand and shoot for double leg, and he never actually threw a strike, so I never actually got to deal with the overhand. But I was ready to go with that. I knew it was coming, and the amount of wrestling defense I've done leading up to a fight, I had like the perfect technique to defend that takedown. And as soon as he shot the takedown, I did the exact wrong thing. Decision making was wrong, and that's what failed me there. I tried to grab his head and shoot for the guillotine. Yeah. Something that like was completely wrong, and in my head I knew it was wrong, but I kept doing it. Yeah. So I shot for that first guillotine, went down, got back up. He re-shot for takedown. My back was against the fence, and again I shot for a guillotine. And in my head, I remember I was here 2 weeks ago in the gym, and Fiona O'Rourke, who was practically my wrestling coach, said guillotines against the fence, or no, we don't do that. Yeah. And in my head then I was like, I started self-doubting myself then. And I was like, you're doing the wrong thing, stop. You know, and I was too much in my head that point. And then from there then it was just more and more wrong decisions. And I never got to like stop, reset myself. So I kept doing the wrong decisions. So then I went to the floor then. I started scrambling for submissions because I was like, I'm the one-hit wonder, you know, I could pull off a submission from anywhere. Yeah. And that was the wrong time to do it. I should have pulled him in, took my deep breath, and then reset myself and go from there. But I didn't do that. I started panicking more and more. I ended up then near the end of the round getting on top of him. Yeah. And having him against the fence, I took him down. His pants kind of fell down, and it was a weird situation there. And I ended the round on top, kind of landing strikes. And then as soon as I went to the corner, then my head went out the window. I started panicking. Yeah. There was a bit of blood in my face, and immediately I was like, I was gone. I had a full panic attack in the corner, or in my corner. Liam was trying to calm me down. I was fully just panicking, and that was mentally fatigue. I was mentally fatiguing me. I wasn't tired at all. Like my condition was on point. Like I could go another 8-9 rounds of MMA if that didn't happen. I reset myself then, and immediately then, as soon as I shot for takedown, I was so mentally fatigued and so shook from what had happened. I hadn't reset myself at all. And then as soon as I shot for takedown, then it was out the window again. There was no defense. I did the exact wrong thing. So from my point of view, I just kept focusing on the negativity and never reset myself, and kind of went from there. Do you know?
So it's more kind of that it was a series of bad decisions, one after another, that you were kind of trying to chase where the good decision was going to come from, but it never really came. No, because you were focusing too much on what was the wrong decisions you were making.
Yeah, I kept focusing on what was going wrong, and never what was just reset and I'm going to do something from here, do you know?
Yeah, 100%. And you've spoken previously to me about the kind of role that sports psychology played earlier in your career, and that you used that to bounce back from something similar to this earlier in your career, around 2017. And we all know you came out in 2018 and put on a clinic that year and won a world championships, won a European championships. Do you think that sports psychology is going to play a bigger role in your career going forward continually?
So the way I looked at it, and you can literally see my career, I had all that kind of, let's say, the bad half of my career, let's say. It wasn't bad. I learned plenty from that. Yeah. But let's say, just for talking terms, the bad side of it. And then in 2017, leading up to 2018, I started working sports psychology, and I kind of corrected those mistakes that were going on. I'd had those fights, and then I immediately just forgot about everything. I was like, it's fixed. It was a quick fix. Yeah. Then went into 2019 and had my first fight in Dubai, where it was iffy. You know, like I pulled out the win, but that could have gone either way. You know, like I wasn't on point there. And then I had my 2019 IMF, the return to my IMF, and again, it was out the window. Again, I kind of went back and I started working it, and then I pulled off my win in Australia in 2020, and then immediately forgot about everything again. So the thing now that I do realize that, like, for my whole career, I'm going to have to keep on top of sports psychology. I didn't have that quick fix in 2018, which I thought I had, and it was fully, I was like, oh, I have it here now. And I fully believe now that I'll have to work on sports psychology for my whole career. And now, if I had worked on that sports psychology leading up to this fight, I fully believe that wouldn't happen, and I would have won. Like Slim, congratulations to him for the win and all that, but he wasn't the more skilled fighter. I was, and I still fully believe that. I still fully believe if I'm on my top game, I'm beating him. Like I was in my panic mode. And I still had moments in that fight, like, where I almost could have beaten him. Like there was moments where I almost locked on a leg lock, or where I had him on the finish position there, or I was in close guard and I was landing a few elbows. There was moments in that fight where I could have won. And that was me at my worst. So I fully believe, he's a great opponent. I'd love to fight him again and redeem that loss, definitely. But sports psychology, or just psychology in general, is something I'm going to have to work on for the rest of my career, and I know that now.
Yeah, but it's a good lesson to learn, especially your first pro fight. A lot of people will argue when you see an undefeated fighter, there's always that kind of something weighing over them, the loss. Do you feel like right now you can move on in your career with that off your shoulders? You've mentioned you've learned that you need to go to a sports psychologist and work that going forward. Are you happy moving forward in your career now that you're in a good place, weight is off your shoulders, that you can just focus on the fight itself and make the correct decisions in there?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, that has happened, and I've learned from now. I would hate that to happen now if, let's say, I was 5 or 6 fights deep and I was in the UFC, or I was in a high fight in Bellator, or a PFL or something, like a big organisation where those kind of decisions, those kind of mistakes will cost you your career. I have an L on my record. I'm now 0-1. I live with that, You live and die by your record, so that's now there. But there's nothing I can do about that now. I have that loss. I have to deal with that now, It's about going forward, and that's just the way it kind of is now.
I do want to touch on, because this to me seems like a really kind of important interview for you in your career. Like, there's a lot of fighters that suffer similar fates, and mentally during fights they're I wouldn't say broken, but they make wrong decisions, like you've mentioned, and different things go wrong mentally, as opposed to, like, you went into the fight completely physically ready for the fight, skills were on point, conditioning on point, but it was a mental thing that kind of cost you that fight. And there's a lot of fighters that suffer a similar fate. There's very few fighters come out, though, and are so open and honest and want to do an interview and want to kind of point out what went wrong and what you need to do going forward by way of sports psychology. Do you feel like more fighters watching this that have had a tough loss could learn something from, I suppose, this interview and your loss and how you're handling it going forward in their careers to make similar decisions?
Yeah, if it's a moment where someone is in the same fate as me and they see it and it gives them the kick up the hole, that's amazing, Like, at the end of the day, I'm here for me and me only. But if I can go about and help people on their paths too, then absolutely. I want to do this because I want to be real. The support and everything I got in for this fight was amazing. Normally they say, there was a photo of some boxer being like, when he won his world title, he had 12,000 missed calls and all the texts, and then when he lost that world title, he had 3 texts. His mother, his manager, and his girlfriend, or something like that. And I have had fights where the support has been great, and then when I lose, then you get it
weans away a little bit.
Definitely. But for this, everyone, it was overwhelming, the amount of people that had just there, and they were like, look, you lost one fight, we'll get back, you're way better than this and all that, and I kind of went into my own little shell and kind of threw that all away. But the support before and after the fight, but especially after, was absolutely amazing. So I just wanted to be real with everyone, and kind of get it off my chest as well.
I did want to touch on that, the kind of after the fight and coming home. Obviously, you mentioned you had loads of messages before coming home, but what was the support like when you did come home? Friends, family, the gym itself? Did it feel like you were walking into kind of, were you nervous about that environment and coming home, or did you know the support was going to be there?
always when I've been in this place loads in my career where I've lost, and you never want to kind of come back to a gym and everyone's like, oh, you know, sorry about the loss and all that. Like, like the support I've gotten afterwards has been absolutely incredible. Like people messaging me who I don't even know, being I watched the fight, I paid for the pay-per-view, I'm looking forward to seeing you fight again, you know, get back on the horse, you know, like all that kind of stuff. Just absolutely incredible. Like, and it really kind of, it gave me the extra little boot I needed, like after the loss, you know, seeing all the messages, like just, it was absolutely incredible.
And that's kind of a rarity, especially someone making their pro debut, to have that kind of support on their back. Like before their career really takes off, it must have been kind of rewarding. Granted, take the loss out of it, but it must have been rewarding to know you still have that support, and when you're coming home, it's still a strong support around you to move on to the next one.
Yeah, it's always Liam said it was like you'll know who the true people are after you lose. Everyone else doesn't matter. Yeah, but I don't have that. You know, like no one really kind of texts me like, "Oh, you're shit," you know, and all that. Like, you fucking.
There's always going to be one langer. You're in Cork, like, but
but I haven't got it. You know. Yeah. It was just it's all been just positive, you know, and that just shows that like everyone that has been supporting me are true fans, you know, like are true supporters of me, like, you know.
Very good. I suppose you've had, like we've mentioned, you've had some very high highs in your career: World Championships, European Championships, Oceania Championships. But you've had some lows as well. 2017, this loss. Where does this loss rank in terms of some of the lower points in your career?
It ranks high enough. I would still consider my loss in 2019 to be the worst. Yeah. Just because I wasn't in a good place then. So the loss felt worse, you know. It's a bad loss, you know. It's a pro debut. I had a lot of people watching me, you know. There was a lot of support for the fight. A lot of people tuned in for it, so there was that kind of element of letting people down and all that. But I went out there and I didn't perform, and that's up to me. You know, that's me to deal with that. Yeah. But it ranks high enough, but still, it would be 2019 has been the lowest point in my career, and then because I've gone from that point
and bounced back already.
I know in the back of my head that this is nothing to me. Like I can still go from here. This isn't the end of, let's say, the Hulk. Like,
of course. And on a technical point, I suppose, what did you learn from the fight, and what did you learn from the loss in the fight?
It was a lot of positives on my side of stuff, on the skill side of stuff, because I knew when shit hit the fan, you know, I still had that conditioning in me. Yeah. You know, like I wasn't that tired. You know, it was the mental fatigue kicked me out. So I know what I'm doing with Bua Health and Fitness is absolutely working. My diet was great, so I felt really good, like physically. Like I had a fight in 2014 or 2015 where I had the shits before the fight. Oh, so nice. I literally had my hands wrapped and I got a spell of the shits, like. Oh. So like that was because of a shit diet and all that. Or I've had fights where I've literally dropped all my calories the week before and just made weight and then just kind of done it bad. Yeah. So the process was definitely right, and we can continue on from here and only make things better. So there was all the positives of that, of like the fight camp went perfect, my training went perfect, everything I done went perfect. So now we can just replicate that. You know, I have the perfect camp now.
So you still have a lot of confidence to take from that experience. Absolutely. And a lot of positives to take from the experience going forward.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like everything I'd done was perfect. It was just the fight went wrong. Yeah, so like I can't really talk on any of the skills in the fight because they were all wrong decisions. Yeah. Like even when round 2 started off, I heard Liam in my corner saying throw a leg kick. Yeah. And I threw a high kick, and that was just retarded. You know. Yeah. It was a very stupid thing for me to do. Is throw a high kick up high. He caught it and took me down. Yeah. It's very silly, but my kick was nice. It landed very hard on him. My foot is still sore, so it hurt him. Yeah. I landed a few nice elbows when I was in close guard. My elbow was still a bit tender from those, so they hurt, and I knew they hurt him as well. Yeah, because he reacted off them. So it was that kind of stuff. I never got to show my striking. I never got to really show that kind of side of my stuff because I worked on a lot of striking in this camp. Yeah, I didn't get to show that, so I know that's still there, and I still get to show that in the next fight.
Speaking of which, I was kind of snuck in and got to witness you hitting pads before the interview here. So you're right back at it, and the striking looks on point. So in terms of the career now, obviously we're moving on to the next one. We know that. But kind of what's your time frame? Do you feel like you just build off the momentum because you were right perfectly prepared, as you say, for the fight, and you want to get in there quickly? Or are you hoping to take some time, kind of work on some stuff, obviously the sports psychology side of it, and obviously some training as well is going to go with it? But are you hoping to get back in there soon, or are you hoping to just kind of give it a little bit of time before you get back in there and put on a display?
I said this in the interview to you, I'd like to have 3 fights for the year, and that's still my goal. So I have 1 fight down, so 2 more to go. So maybe October, and then maybe like December, November will be kind of my time frame. So get something then. If maybe September something shows up, like right now, about 2 kilos over heavyweight. So like I started this, let's say, camp 10 weeks ago at 130. So I lost 10 kilos lost 13 kilos to get to 117. So I'm at a better place right now. I'm at 124. So 122, sorry. So I've cut those 2 kilos and I'm back to fight weight. So fight weight's there pretty much. 2 kilos is nothing. Conditioning is fairly there. Like I've been back sparring and back moving around, and it's just kind of upkeeping that now. I'm heading off next week to Team Cowbon to do a bit of sparring with the lads over there. So
very good. And you fought, of course, with Quillan and Lochran over in that card.
So that was the connection. So the lads, him and Mike Rundy, invited me over. So I'm going to head over there and help Tom Aspinall and the lads get ready for their UFC fights. And then also I'm going to help Johnny Walker for his fight. His is the end of September. So I have those fights. So again, the sparring is there. I'm just tipping them out with those. So.
And it's keeping you busy and keeping you active during this period as well before the next fight. Before we let you go, because I don't want to keep you too long, are there any shout-outs you want to do and any kind of mentions, kind of post-fight? Who, like, I know you mentioned everyone was there for you, but is there anyone in particular that made that big difference for you when you came out of the cage and you got that message and it spoke to you a little bit? Is there anyone you want to give a shout-out in particular to, or your sponsors? Or
kind of for that moment, it was just kind of everyone that had texted me was positive. Before the fight, like obviously Liam, Maher have done absolutely like everything for me. Like they've like Liam and Maher have gone absolutely out of their way to do stuff for me, and it's just, I appreciate that. Fiona Rourke, the stuff he's done with me training wise, you know, I've had Rory Hennebury sparring loads, Greg Roach and Bua have done amazing stuff for me. Fionn Hickey, the twins. I've had spars with Johnny Walker and all the lads from Dublin, Will Flory, Carl Moore, all those lads. Trevor McKengo, Gustavo. Like I'll forget names here going through. So like all my training partners have been great this camp. And then outside of sponsor stuff, like thank all of them. So you have Ross Nutrition and Here's Health looked after all my supplements. McCarthy Cycles and Mallory Motors looked after the fun side of stuff, keeping me, make sure I could train. Have Alpha Cavemen, make sure I had all my gear for the fight and all that. Wimpto Warrior was a huge sponsor, came on board for this fight. Elite Sports Recovery looked after my recovery, made sure my body was perfect going into the fight. So all those sponsors were absolutely credible. Obviously MTK, my new management company, they looked after me. They got the fight. So, and they're currently looking for a new fight. They were absolutely incredible. And they're literally they're literally working right now to get fights for me.
Excellent stuff. Listen, it's been a pleasure to have you on and to see you in this kind of almost vulnerable but still have that confidence. Do you know what I mean? It's good to see that, and we wish you the very best going forward. We know you're going to bounce back, and we know you're going to have a big fight before the end of the year, so best of skills with that.
Thank you.
No problem.